Hello. Hey. Well, just a little bit on the, wasn't out there playing, but I want to get this started and say, hello to everybody. This is the panel called "The Pro Wrestling Boom Is Not Here." And the reason why I say that is because there's been people talking about this, with the insurgence of like AEW. New Japan before that, and still doing just recently had a show in New Jersey, and then they're going to have a G1 in Chicago. And you have WWE, and they're doing stuff since Vince McMahon's gone, temporarily, but I mean gone. We have Paul Levesque in charge. TNA's being big stuff, and people are saying, online, so we'll probably hear, believe that the pro wrestling boom, there's a new boom period happening. Since, Monday Night Wars, back in 1995, you can say 96 when the NWO started. So, I personally can see that point, but I want to ask y'all, one main question that I have been looking into all this stuff and seeing how this thing situation. The one thing that this era has right now, then that this didn't happen is like access, right? You have so many ways to watch shows now. So many companies, so many indie companies, and so many other stuff right now. Where you look back in the Monday Night Wars, ECW was a regional thing. Only had Northeast, we still had that type of stuff. But imagine ECW with this stuff right now. We'll know it probably will last a little bit longer. But also, the access right now is, especially WWE, is fragmented to hell. And if I was going to get like something to set up, I want to ask you a question. Have you remember the video game Watch Dogs? Way back into, remember. You remember all the special stuff that was in that thing? Oh, you have to get this pack. Oh, no. You want to get this thing at this version. And get this version to that version. And this version to that version. But now, look at and then I'll point this to WWE. You have to, you want to watch Monday Night Raw? What have you? You got to get Netflix subscription. You got to go CW. You want to watch NXT? The CW. SmackDown, you got to be like your cable services. SmackDown. Same thing, CW, you got SmackDown and Peacock themselves. If you're still, this thing is probably going to be the next couple of years anyway. Then you have, Evolve. That's on too, if you want to watch all this type of stuff. And then you think the whole premium, and like I said, CW. And the takeovers are on, I think, on Peacock as well. And Saturday Night Live is an event. Then we get to the ESPN stuff, which is all the PL leagues and everything else. And that is on, $30 on ESPN plus another streaming service. And that costs, and I remember this meme that is really since my head, it costs over $1,000 if you want to be a W fan and not go on the high seas or have a VPN, like yours truly. Just like I said, it got everything on Netflix and everything else. Now it's all fragmented. You can't watch the shows if you want to watch them. Netflix just recently actually put up, all the shows, the former pay-per-views on Netflix. Even then, it was like, you know where to watch them. And I know they just launched another stuff on YouTube and that's on YouTube. But that's the issue to me, and I think most of y'all will agree, is that at the heart of access. Access is completely, it's so hard to get to these shows and connect with the wrestlers and characters and everything else. Because, you gotta watch all this stuff. And if you because why would the TNA partnership? You gotta have to go have an AMC or AMC Plus. So how are you going to really connect with everyone if you have all that? And and like I said, the streaming services too. I mean, you're gonna have to, if you do want to get that outside of WWE, you have to get to HBO Max or to watch the AEW. Then you have New Japan World. You have like Wrestling Universe. You have all these other, streaming stuff. They have to get that stuff as well. Then, Ring of Honor and all that stuff. It gets to be a mess, and the lack of access. Meanwhile, back in those days, sure there was lack of access to some of it, but if you don't watch Monday Night Raw, it was on USA and then TNA. If you watch WCW, you can watch TBS or TNT. And then what, the pay-per-views, you can go buy for $50, episodes like that, and here it is. And I actually will listen to some, I don't know if y'all hear about this, this YouTube channel called Wrestle Talk. Watch that stuff. And just that podcast. And something they really, I looked at, I think, Ollie Davis actually said something that was interesting. He said that AEW is probably positioned themselves better because you look at what the cost to get in WWE, I just recently talked about, is so high. You gotta watch Raw, you got SmackDown, so much higher to watch those shows. And all the stuff. AEW, you can just say it's on HBO Max, forget about Ring of Honor or anything else. It's on HBO Max and it costs like $40 to buy the pay-per-views on HBO Max. And that's significantly cheaper and easier to access. And one of the reasons AEW has gotten a bit of an upswing, because of not just the characters, but it's just the ease of access of watching the shows and getting into these type of things that WWE had, because everyone loved those deals, but eventually it comes to access. It eventually becomes, it's the terrible of the, it's bad for consumers, bad for us, because we can't watch the shows unless you go on, have a VPN, or you go on the high seas, and that eventually affects the paychecks of the wrestlers and everything else, and it just it really is. It's a little bit sad that you have these talented wrestlers, so much talent, especially the women, who have been such revelation, not just WWE and AEW. In fact, I wish AEW could do a little bit better. Seriously, Willow won the TBS championship and hasn't had a singles feud since then. And I mean, what are they doing with her? It just seems like they were trying to do something with before Mega Bad. Then Ford got hurt, and I think they were going to lose the tag titles, and they have Megan Bayne challenge for the TBS championship, which I'm like, okay, but they can still do that. Why haven't they done something with Willow? And I'm frustrated with that. Or pivot to something there. It's just frustrating. But another thing that I think that is real positive about this era is the women who have been, on the forefront, especially WWE. Rhea Ripley has had like multiple situations. And Bianca Belair, when she gets healthy, hopefully, that's the hope, is that she can actually start dominating again. And have her, Sky, Ripley, Jade, and all the other ladies there, Lash Legend, all of them should be, put in that position and stuff like that. Hopefully there'll be some more black men there. I mean, when's the last time they had I think the last time they had a black dude on, was it PLE? I think it was like Lashley versus somebody. Yeah, 2.5 years.
They just brought over Femi over, so.
Yeah, and what has he been doing? Just squashing people.
They need a new monster.
So. Femi versus Lesnar, or heck, I honestly just said, screw it. I would just push the rule, have Femi, I would have had him win the Rumble, have him take on and destroy CM Punk. You want to say this is a new generation, beat him in 5 minutes, and there you go. If you want to make these new stars, because right now it's a lot of old people in the main events of Mania. You got CM Punk, who's like what, almost 50, versus Roman, who is in Akuma in Street Fighter, so he's gonna be going like 7-8 months reigns. He's up there too. Then you have LA Knight, who's like 40. He's never going to get there. After that, I saw when he had that botch in Elimination Channel. I'm like, yeah, that was it. It's over. Just have him go to Evolve at this. Or you have him go to TNA.
I feel bad for him too.
I do. I do feel bad for him. Yeah, me neither. But also the sad part, and the real sad part, of this is like the saga of Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre that been going on for so long. But you know, who knows what happens tonight? People say it's going to be Cody winning the belt again. If that's the case, and it leads to a multi-man match later, which I love about these the interviews, by the way, of these wrestlers who are just doing this blurred shoot stuff, which I distinctly remember all those DVDs that WWE produced saying, oh, Vince Russo didn't know what he's doing. Vince Russo's the worst thing I've heard that happened to wrestling. But yet they're doing the same type of tactics. They're doing the same stuff, word for word, bar to bar, that they hated back in WCW 2000. Paul McHatton, Tony Khan too in AEW, because you know I remember the podcast. He still was watching WCW in 1999 to 2000 to 2001. So you know he's already doing that same type of stuff. But yeah, it just seemed to me that he's like Drew McIntyre said, "Oh, if we're doing a multi-man match at WrestleMania, what's the point of the Elimination Chamber?" What does that say about your? What does that say about your storytelling?
I mean, Rhea Ripley got in last year without having to do nothing but just keep begging for shots, and then she got in.
Exactly. It's just they have no, and that's my thing is that they just beg and beg for the type of stories and such. They're begging and begging for like this type of stuff. And it's frustrating because there are talent. The talent is there. The wrestling is there. The characters are there. It is the one thing I think that's lacking is the direction and story and the tightness of it. And I think one thing I lament is like when you look at what back in 2000 WWF, WWE or whatever, they had those tight stuff. Yeah, this thing, lead thing. AEW did have that last, I think a couple nights ago, a whole story. MJF and basically go around MJF and Kevin Knight. And I really enjoyed it. But the issue I have is that it's not frequent. It is very rare. It is inconsistency, and that's another thing I think the way I don't think that the wrestling movement is not here is that where the movement was consistency. You know, now it's too inconsistent. They're just cribbing stuff from bad writers. They say now they're using it. So I think that when you look at what's happening right now, I believe that WWE and AEW are, I think WWE is trending downwards. WrestleMania tickets are down. I mean, if it was a book, right here.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Mr. Black with Job Series Podcast. This is pretty so far good panel. The one thing I noticed about WWE and everybody in the writing room, they are yes men. Why do you expect so much from these writers if their career was yes men? Bob Roode, a yes man. You understand? Road Dogg, yes man. Nobody in that room
Stands up to him.
Hold on. Let me cook now. I'm cooking with no shirt on.
Oh, I got that. Keep going. Keep going.
Nobody has balls in that room. Triple H was a yes man. You understand? He cut his way to the top by marrying the once his daughter. He didn't have to work hard. Why you think NXT is full of so much life? Because, HBK fucked up. In life, outside of life, so you understand the pain of coming back from nothing and getting something. And he's a rebel. So you expect so much from this company, understanding that Vince is not there. They're trying to please TKO. Yes, TKO. Yes, TKO. And Triple H understands when this gets sold, he's going they need somebody to be a mascot. He's auditioning to be a mascot of the company. So you're expecting so much from this company, but it's a bunch of yes men. That's it. AEW is a little bit different because, people may talk shit about Tony Khan. He's more close to these guys' age than Triple H is. So he can understand a Kevin Knight. He can understand a Will Hobbs. He can understand the grief of a woman and say, hey, blah, 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 blah. You understand? Triple H will understand the LA Knight because LA Knight know how to talk that politics. All these other guys around here, they know how to talk a little bit. They know how to talk to them. But they can't talk to a Javon Evans. Because if they were smart, they get a black guy to talk to him instead of a white guy telling them how to be black. So all your griefs and arguments is very respecting too much from a company for a yes man. Look at Punk. Stone Cold Rebel. Ushering a new wrestling boom with promos everything. When he came back, he became a yes man. He could have been that dude. If you really was serious about wrestling, could have been that dude from AEW said, yo, I'll take that challenge. Jericho said, I'll take that challenge. What happened now? It takes time. So you expect them too much from these companies, dogs, especially WWE.
Well, I mean, that's true. But yeah, that was a good one, man. Thank you very much. I just got to say that it is, I honestly think old Polo back, Papa Hunter, I think he's about to go, in my personal opinion. I think it is about, because he's trying to be Dana White, and it's not going to work. I think that, since Dwayne Johnson is on the board, and he's since he's not getting no Oscar or anything else, and he's leaving all those phone messages like they did, bring in The Rock like last year, and everything else. But he's leaving those. He's not answering those phones now. He's not answering them now. And now, I also think a year from now, maybe 2-3 years, or maybe a year, I think Paul Levesque is gonna be like, no. I think he's gonna walk away, and you're gonna see us. You're gonna see at the end of Monday Night Raw, end of SmackDown, and whatever. It's gonna be, it's not gonna be Paul Levesque and everything else. It's gonna be $7 Productions. That is what's gonna be. It's gonna be Rock's gonna just push everybody out, and he's gonna be pushing Hunter out. He's gonna push all those yes men out. And it's sad to say, I don't agree with it. I think he's gonna push, Michael Hickenbottom, aka Shawn Michaels out, because they still got beef from back in the day. If you read this stuff, man. So I think that if I was doing this stuff, I would have maybe Shawn be doing this stuff, because I think he knows what he's doing in NXT. I think he would. I disagree with the fact that just as a worship police. Have you watched like the NWA? Have you watched stuff like that? I disagree, because I think the NXT has been consistent for the most part, even though some of the wrestlers are not there yet, because some of them are a little green there, but that's what NXT is. If you get there and season and such. And I believe in the next couple, I think that, sadly, I think he's about to head out. I think that $7 Productions is going to take over that thing fully. And we're going to see something like that, because I just think that, Dwayne's like, after that whole Cena botch, because he came in there, he said, hey, remember on Real, was like, hey, I want to have Cody be the one to sell the soul or something like that. He wanted Cody to turn heel. Cody said no, and guess what? We have one of the best thing out there, Cena's heel turn, yay! And what happened afterwards?
Nothing.
Oh no! There was stuff. You had Travis Scott walking down in his 5 for 7 minutes, thinking that he's the Sandman from ECW.
Yo, stop dropping plea for Cena, dog.
No. It was Travis Scott. That whole thing. Because remember, right now the last world championship Cena has, the 17th title, will always be right next to Travis Scott. They can't erase it. It's right there. The pictures, everything.
AI for real, right? Look at Chris Benoit. Who?
Oh, they're gonna say, that was just AI hallucination. No, yeah, but I just think, it's just the passing of the buck. I agree. I mean, Hunter had much to blame for that, and he was to blame for it, and it was just a whole mess. The entire run was the biggest mess. You know what the most consistent person Cena faced or was around his entire last year? Logan Paul. Logan Paul had the most matches with Cena, and I'm like, what is this? I mean, I say Logan Paul's talented, but he's not going to be the person you would put there, to be around Cena that often. I would say maybe, screw it, maybe they do something with Ron Killings when he cut his hair off or something. Maybe they would do something with that, but
Maybe the Miz could have got something.
that's sad because The Miz, or maybe if they were actually nice to AEW, maybe like say, you know what, you will get some of our or whatever, a talent exchange or whatever, or maybe something, maybe get Edge a one-night thing, it would be nice.
Do you remember when having B-list celebrities as wrestlers or winning belts was a novelty, like with David Arquette and Chucky way back in the day, and now it seems to be the norm?
Oh yes, it is. It was, again, but I honestly think one thing I would say about these wrestlers who are the celebrities and such, like I put who was that? AJ Boone guy from AEW. They're talented, and they kept falling away from championships, which I think is good. But Logan Paul, who is at this point is now he's officially in. Like, oh, he's now, he's in the division. Well, the rest of it as it is, because everyone's hurt and gone from that. So people are now projecting him to have him win the Money in the Bank, because oh gosh, that's gonna be fun. Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank, and he tried to say, maybe they'll finally start singing my theme, because I'm supposed to be a babyface theme. I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. Give it up. But that song isn't that good anyway. And when I see again, it's kind of funny. Like I said, during that Monday Night War, you had David Arquette win the championship, and that was the doomsday of WCW. And now here we are right now. We're looking at Logan Paul and winning the Raw, doing this stuff. You have like him and was it Bad Bunny? Bad Bunny was like the last four in the Royal Rumble a couple years ago, aka the Shane McMahon one. Yes. So it's just that when you see the celebrities, they're talented and doing the work and everything else. More often than not, they're gonna get probably burned like Travis Scott, who he got another phone call from he wanted that's what I think happened. He got like a call from was it that director doing the Odyssey. So you do like a big part or your WWE. He's like, yeah, screw WWE. I'm doing that part with Christopher Nolan or that movie, the Odyssey. And that's the issue is that when you have when you deal with all these celebrities, you're basically right. Funny enough, it actually goes back to that whole CM Punk podcast, way back when we called Cabana. And he says this, the reason why, I'm always here. All right, fine, build up Brock Lesnar, build up Triple H, they're not here. I'm here. And you keep treating me as a loser, guess what? The crowd's gonna say, oh, he's a bunch of losers. Why should I care about a bunch of losers? The only people who are the most important ones are the ones that only peek out their hands like once a month to pop a rating or to get a buy rate up. And just not really, not really connecting to people and everything. So you just leave the people behind. And because again, I look at the one thing I think what the last person to do was, even if you are like the lower mid card like the W or WCW, people cared about you. People cared about Rikishi before they turned. They cared about Crash Holly. They actually had the Crash Holly got a huge pop. People cared about other wrestlers and everything else. What happened to that? Now it's just, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, over there.
Like you said, real quick with that, it's all about how we used to care about folks like Rikishi and Crash Holly, or mid-card, lower card, and stuff like that. But you look at those, late 90s, early 2000s, late to the early Roots Wrestling era, they were still building superstars, right? And they focused on building characters at the lowest level. Taka Michinoku and Funaki, they had their own thing. They come out, they do their thing, waving Japanese flag, comes up, and you knew that. You knew he was going to lose every single match. It was like, oh, snap, I'm going to get hot for these guys. Rikishi, it was like he came out, he shaking his hands on everything, but you love that. But nowadays, you got that type of talent, but you're not building. Look at somebody like Kid Wilson. Kid Wilson is amazing. He has an amazing thing. His gimmick is great, but you're just going to feed him over, so you're going to have him lose all the time. If they really built him up, dude was good, pretty deadly. First debut in NXT UK, they was legit. They was on the chain. And Dustin Rice got hurt, so now it's like, well, we kind of found with him, give him something to do, but where we go with that? They're not building those stars down at that mid-card, lower mid-card level the way they did back then.
They also had stacked rosters too.
Right, yeah, but they weren't building them. They're afraid to build those who they used to because they don't want anybody to become bigger than the company. Stone Cold, Rock, John Cena, they got bigger than the company. They don't want anybody to become bigger than the company. So now, unless you name CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, you're not going to really get pushed to the level that you should.
Agreed. I mean, that you could put like, you know, Goldberg in that position too. I mean, he was bigger than WCW, and you know, even when
That hurt him.
WCW,
That hurt him a lot.
yeah, I heard him when they came to WWE.
I've heard people say that. I've heard people compare Vince McMahon, who, don't get me wrong, is an evil, evil bastard. But I've heard him be compared to P.T. Barnum, in that he was a showman. You know, he and P.T. Barnum, they knew how
So wrestling is.
to promote their company. So I think so. While I'm glad that it's a safer place all around, and I hope Vince McMahon shits out his organs when he dies. Well, I do think they need someone they're not that evil, but can definitely be that theatrical in terms of promotion and stuff while they're in charge of the company.
And that's the WWE. If you look at what WWE is, they're trying so hard to be a sports company. They are trying hard to be like right next to UFC. And I'm surprised that Dana White just didn't want to punt, but he's too preoccupied by Penny's face tomato, or just caring too much about Power Slap to care. Because if he did care, he would just be like, get this out of here. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And like he used to. But I just think that WWE is just, the problem is with every time they do the sports type, like, what are they doing when Monday Night Raw opens up? You know what you see? People walking into the arena. Over and over, coffee, walking in arenas, walking to the same place. Maybe you'll see someone talking to somebody else, like, do something. Do actual something.
They tried it one time. They were opening up and folks were cutting promos at the beginning of the show. I remember it was on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Remember that? They were opening the show with doing like promos, hyping up their match for later on. And I'm like, do more. That's why I said, but walking in, it's cool to do that some of the time, but when you show up, like, again, you promote it, right? You gotta promote the show. So when you're cutting a promo, it's like, I'm gonna beat up so and so tonight. That's what's gonna get up people interested in seeing, oh, that match is tonight. I'm ready to see that night. Oh, here comes such and such. And just showing up, they in their street clothes and they gear. I don't care about that. I'm ready. I wanna see, me and old enough getting ready to slam each other.
Yes.
Oh
yeah. That's what I liked about Collision, and they did this in AEW a bit, is that they have promos before the show. They have promos talking about, this is the match we're gonna be doing, this stuff here, or do the story stuff. And I'm like, WWE has the tools and talent to do these things. They can't, I think they have the talent to go a little harder, like they say, like in some of the time it can be like New Japan go that hard, but they, some probably shouldn't. But they have the talent to do stuff like, a little bit of Lucha Underground, a little bit of that type of sports stuff. It could be that mix, but it feels like they're just like, we're gonna do this sports stuff because, well, it's something the TKO, the stuff where the algorithms look like they like it and such. It's out, all this other stuff that they say, oh, this is what, again, when I look at like the previous boom period, even the WCW was bad, like just dog water bad. They had a unique personality. You had like Scott Steiner beating up random folk. You had like, Vince was
people like when they did Christ, it was a Sub-Zero knockoff.
Glacier.
Glacier, yes, they had Glacier. I was like maybe 6 or 7 when that showed up, and I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I like this. This is like watching. It's like watching a car accident full of clowns. I want to tear my eyes away, but it's so damn entertaining.
That's what it is. And we look at that was Glacier. You look at you want to go further, the Dungeon of Doom and how that was, and you look how silly that was, or go to
Real quick, like talking about people like Glacier, we used to like want our people to like, if you look back at like those 80s and 90s characters, they would draw inspiration from like movies, video games, everything came from like something else, and everybody was a character. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But going back to like talking about P.T. Barnum Circus, it was carny. It's carny. Wrestling is carny business. It's supposed to be carny business. But you look at it now. So I do a little bit of indie wrestling. So when I was coming up with my character, I want to do something like kind of crazy and after, but you have to look at how we do now. Like look at names, or look at the Stone Cold Steve Austin, Tugboat, Vic was, you know, crazy names like that. We don't have like those characters that are different because they wanted to be sports and shockmaster. We don't have like we wanted to look too much like regular MMA and to look regular. It's like, oh, these are regular people. They fight good and that's what they do. That's everybody's gimmick nowadays is they fight good. Even on the indie scene, you got too many indie wrestlers whose gimmick is, well, I'm a good wrestler. I do this. Okay, but what? Can you cut a promo? Can you connect with the crowd? Can you get them in front of the
Yeah. It was probably a main issue for Ring of Honor for long periods of time that I couldn't get into. Same for TNA, I couldn't see a lot of things. They went for the stuff like the crazy stuff until Hogan and Bischoff came in and basically hit it with the they basically murked that company until I mean, it took multiple partnerships, 2 mainstream companies to put TNA right in the position of 2008. That is how much damage Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan did to that company. But when you look at what early TNA had, like Team Canada, AJ Styles, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, those Samoa Joe. Even though the most hilarious thing is that Samoa Joe has more title runs, more world title runs in AEW than he had in TNA. TNA only has 1 title run. That was it. That's TNA in a nutshell. Could have made something.
Samoa Joe for calling out. I love Scott Hall. They try to get on Samoa Joe because he called out Scott Hall for missing shows. He was drunk all the time. It's like, all you listen to Samoa Joe, he might have been a little bit harsh, but Scott Hall, he was honest. Scott Hall didn't be showing up when we missed a show. I love Scott Hall enough, but get his stuff together.
Yeah, he finally did before he passed. But at that time he was not reliable. And again, that was the issue with TNA, and I would say a little bit of WWE and mostly AEW as well is the problem with the past and not letting it go. And they just can't let this stuff finally move on. Because I remember there was like something in the Observer or something like Dave Meltzer said back in 2013, WWE really looking at new stars and saying we move away from John Cena and Randy Orton. Cut to 2025. What is the main event of Backlash that year? 2025. Last year. What was the main event of Backlash? No. It was Randy Orton versus John Cena. Yeah, it was Randy Orton and John Cena. And it's just, I know it was Cena's last year, and people said Randy Orton should be his last opponent, which I'm like, fine. Did you not watch any of those matches? I mean, they weren't good. None of the matches were good. There were only 2. The I Quit match, and, but I'm talking about the terrible.
Cena versus AJ Styles was actually a decent match.
And a few, by the way.
They used everybody's finishing move for like 15 years.
Yeah, that should have been the last Cena match.
That should have been his last match. That was fantastic.
That was a good epilogue match. But getting back to my point, Orton and Cena never had good matches except the I Quit match and the Iron Man match. That was the only 2.
Not even a lot of match? Yeah, the Iron Man match was tough.
But they had a good rivalry.
No.
It just lasted too long.
That's what it is. It's long lasting. It's just like.
People like the Ultimate Warrior Hulk, they didn't get as loud.
No.
But look at the era.
A very different time.
The era, they were the top guys.
Yeah.
WWE was kind of down.
But honestly, the matches weren't good. Honestly, I would consider Edge is more of Cena's rival. Then you have AJ Styles is more of his rival too than Orton because, like I said, the matches between Edge and Cena with Edge were great. Heck, I see Cena and Kevin Owens matches and then went a little too far with them. But yeah, and just to me, that point is that even last year, they couldn't let that thing go. They still have, and now Orton, right now, he's in a big match at WrestleMania. multi-man or otherwise.
That makes sense though if it's Cody, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be Cody. If it's Cody Orton, I'm like, I'm tired. Look, I like Orton.
I think they should squash everything because they've been trying to bring it with that whole legacy act kind of thing.
No one cared about Legacy when it was there. No one cared about that. And just the feels and people like, oh, we have to go back. Like, no one cared about Legacy. That is another thing.
It wasn't good while it was happening.
The nostalgia.
That's just running through them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the whole like DX, so it's
That was nostalgia. That's the problem. It was always about nostalgia. And I want to come back to all of that is nostalgia and how it can poison people's mind, the whole thing. Because people are like, oh, this, and you look back on it, it's, don't look too hard. I mean, I am a fan of Glacier, but most of his matches weren't good. I can admit that. I can admit that, as a kid, I liked the Dungeon of Doom. When I look back at that, I'm like, ooh, that wasn't good. Yeah, the character, they believed in that stuff.
But there's not a Big Show in that though, so
Yeah, and the Big Show, good Lord, Big Show. He had, people saying, oh, the Giant had like, Big Show had like more heel turn W. No, that started WCW.
yes.
He said he was like, he turned,
First he was face, he was NWO,
he was back to the WCW, then the WCW, then back to NWO, then he was smoking cigarettes, like he was like, man, I don't give a fuck, I don't care. Like, just wait until the day he was gone.
Yeah, he would come there with a plug and just toe slam me. Alright, I'm done.
That was it. Yeah, he was good. I liked him, but like I said, and when I get back to the point of nostalgia, one thing I think the boom period, when it was in the Monday Night Wars and such, a company, I think WWE did not have the value of nostalgia because they had no own stars. They had to say, you know what, we got to build what we have. And that to me is the lack of that right now. You have too many old stars on AEW and WWE, Look, I like Edge, but Edge and Christian was like a little bit like, why are they on the post for All Out? That should be Hangman's, Adam Page, or maybe, that sort of thing. It's the match wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. I like the FTR match, I do. But again, nostalgia. In fact, this past Dynamite, you had FTR meeting up to Muscle Ciampa. I was like, oh, remember those black and gold days of NXT, the good stuff. You see, it is nostalgia, and that that's what I think the worst thing is that they just can't build new stuff. Is that they have you look at what it is, Cody versus if it's gonna be Cody or Drew or whatever, it's Randy Orton nostalgia. CM Punk and Roman Reigns, the most honestly two old people at WrestleMania. Like it is old man WrestleMania. It's old guys, man. And meanwhile, like I love this. Is before his match. Well, he had Ron Brett had an interview, and he said, "Well, the fact there's no 1990s born wrestler and not been a WWE champion is it's eternally frustrating." And you know what he did? He finally got that opened the match of the Strange Things episode of Raw. Guess what happened? Division's help and everything else, he still lost. And then he got hurt. And then Bronson Reed got hurt. And then you have Logan Paul and Austin Theory with Paul Heyman and people that like, oh my gosh, it's Ryback 2.0. And it's getting to the point of like the lowest of like, oh my gosh. And then they have Seth Rollins, who I was like, look, I'm gonna say this right now. I didn't care for the division. It was trying to be, and it's a definition of nostalgia. Paul and back like, we can just do the evolution again. We're gonna do evolution again, baby. That's what we gotta do. We're gonna do the evolution. We're gonna do the 4 horsemen. We're gonna do all this stuff. Seth Rollins becoming like the laughing guy, Yeah, and just do that every week at LA Night, basically getting laid out every single week to the point of tedium. And you wonder why people are just tuning out on Monday Raw on Netflix. Click. And in fact,
it would have worked if he didn't get injured.
No, I think we'll be in the same position because people were just sick of it. And when he did the fake injury, people were interested. Ooh, that's a problem.
People were interested when he did the fake injury.
That was dope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like for me, I think karma is always like once you do a fake injury, a real one's bound to come. But like,
Seth is old.
if they kept feeding
You don't move like that.
what they were trying to teach, it would have worked.
I don't think it would have because it would have been the same issue. Oh, we're going right back to the vision. We're right back to where we are. And another thing, which just I just got my mindset and everything else that reminded me, is not just the vision and everything else, is a recent interview with Reigns that they haven't moved. None of the characters actually moved. Roman is still basically where he's at. Jay has basically been a little elevated, but he's still where he's at. Cody's still the same thing. Like after 2 years of May, you'd think they would be moving on to different places, but they're still here, still in a stagnant position. And that's one thing I noticed. That the other thing is that you can say one thing, a lot of things with both the Monday Night Wars. It's that there was a period of movement. There were people not stable. There were you go up or you go down. And now my worry is. I think that I just don't think the WWE right now has an issue of just not moving people up and down. It's just stagnation.
Going back to the division real quick, because the division, I think that they had to rush it a bit because honestly, I feel like the division was always made to put Ron Breaker as a champion. That was always one division. When Seth got actually hurt, they had to speed up that timeline and kind of give Ron Breaker kind of control of the group before they were like really ready. But it was eventually gonna be a thing. I like get back to the Rock and Nation. The Rock got too big for Nation, and he took over from Farouk, and that's what really kind of boosted him. That took him from Rocky Maivia to the Rock, and I think that's what they were trying to do with the Vision, but unfortunately, the injuries kind of set it off. So I'm not saying it's not wrong with what you were saying, but I think that they were at least trying to go in the direction of moving people. Just injuries kind of got in the way.
Yeah, injuries have an issue. A lot of injuries have happened, but my worry is when you look at what's happening with WWE, you look what happened to them, they don't recover from that well. It's they're burning people out.
I think a lot of it is, and this is going to be a cynical take, but back, like I say, I'm a 90s, early 2000s guy. I've seen Dark Side of the Ring, all that stuff. I'm a huge history fan. Back in my buddy, you've done indie wrestling, right? So when people in your circuit, they get hurt, your coaches and stuff, they say, okay, this guy's legitimately hurt. We need to give him some time to recover, to rest. But back in the day, they didn't do that. The guys who were really pushing, they played through it, and a lot of them now.
Drugs, all kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that, and a lot of them like Jake Roberts or mentioned Hulk Hogan, or even John Cena at some point in his career, they were, by the time they stopped, you had to basically scoop them out of the room in a bucket. So I think a lot of them, they don't want to go that far because they're worried that they might emulate the old guys and wind up hurting themselves.
But the problem is, I make a big deal anytime they try to innovate offense. Oh, why are you doing this for? That's so dangerous. Oh my gosh, Yeah. Everyone complains about it. And you say you shouldn't do that because we did that. What happened? But yet, them not being afraid, Jeff Hardy wasn't afraid to innovate. Drill.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
came out rapping and doing everything.
Oh yeah, but I would say,
Ooh, no off beat. Ooh, come on, you gonna make a whoop your ass? John Cena can't do that.
but yeah, I want to say one thing though about like, oh, you do less moves and yeah, less moves and that. LA Knight has that. LA Knight does all this other stuff. And what happened to LA Knight? Oh, you know, don't worry, buddy. We'll owe you one.
It happens in the best. It happens in the best.
I know, not just that, but they haven't done anything. Before that, they haven't done anything with him. They gave him a token U.S. Championship run, 2 of them, and every time any time he gets that big upper part, like people are ready to care. People are still pissed off. I guarantee some people are really LA Knight fans are very look at Jey Uso fans with a side eye because my goodness, you know, same as with the LA Knight, Jey Uso. I mean, he has an entrance and the kids love him. I said this once, and I don't mean any disrespect because I think this man's a talented performer as well. Jey Uso is this generation's Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He is a guy you can bring out there, you can like with the kids and give them a big card title and they love him.
Here's the thing, though. There's nothing wrong with that.
And that's not, I'm happy with that. That is great. And that is awesome. The problem is you put him in the world title picture. And man, he could not go. He couldn't go.
Part of that is how you book them. If you have, like, go back to like Austin Warrior, go back to the John Big Show, go back to anybody. You have to book people to work to their strengths. Like, I don't want my huge monster working a 30-minute match and doing dives and stuff. I need you to work a 5 to 6 minute match, hop around, do your big moves, and go home, and everybody's gonna be happy. Goldberg that's why you got so mad at William Regal. And when William Regal tried to show up Goldberg, everybody got mad at Regal. It's like, he's supposed to have him out here look like he's supposed to wrestle. You're supposed to let him squash you.
WWE 2003 would like to have a word with you with Goldberg. Because how many 20-minute matches he had? And most of them with Triple H. Oh, that must have been a fun time. But yeah, it gets to this point of, like I said, you have like people talented and look, they are former tag wrestlers who have become great singles. I mean, Kyle Fletcher, he has become great. And shout out to Mark Davis too. He has been great as well. And you know, Mark Briscoe and the late Jay Briscoe. You know, they have you know Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. And Bully Ray and Devon, they went up. Edge, Christian. All these are great singles and tag teams. But man, the Usos, I don't know what it is. They're great as a tag team. One of the best tag teams in WWE history. But when they are wrestling in singles, I don't know what it is. Is it the entrance that tires them out? I don't know what it is. Is it something else? Y'all want to run it? Run it back. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, man. I'm just like, what are you doing? And with 2 championship runs, he got an Intercontinental title run. He didn't do much with it. He got a world title run, who his first like real defense was against who? Logan Paul. Again, Logan Paul shows up. And then he loses to Gunther. And then Gunther faces like Goldberg, Papa Randy against like, was it All Out in AEW, which, you know, that didn't work. And then, you know, Gunther loses to CM Punk. And then CM Punk loses to Seth Rollins, which just, again, I'm just really I'm tired of these, like, the people who are, it goes right back to nostalgia and the hell of these old wrestlers. This should be the year of WrestleMania. Should not be headlining these guys right now. It should be headlined by guys like, you know, Carmelo Hayes. I would say Trick Williams. It should be Your Last Legend. It should be, you know, when Julia, she was actually booked well and actually got the call. But Raquel, she got better. She's really getting better.
She's been up and down a little bit.
Yeah, she did a really good job, and Stephanie Van I think she should have a good run. I'm trying to basically put these, like the new young lions, the next generation, and yet you are still in this stagnant area. Cody Rhodes have finished his story months on over, and now he's being over. What else is there? I'm tired of his story. I'm tired of it. Move on. It is something that they need to move on from. And Cody Rhodes, not just Cody Rhodes, but
all the time. He's their main money maker. They put him in friggin' everything. And at the same time, you're like, okay, guys, you know you have other characters you can market.
So it's the Spider-Man problem or the Batman problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, shoot.
Because he looked like Homelander.
And Cody wonders, why are people booing me? Why are people not liking me? I have the American flag. I dress like one of those comic book guys. Why am I people getting booing at me?
Because they're tired. Yeah. And the wrestling community does this all the time. Seth Rollins had to go through the same thing, what, like 7 years ago? He was doing so well, everybody was on his high, and then suddenly everybody got, I'm tired of seeing you. And then he was like, and he had to totally reinvent himself. That's what they all have to do, because people just get tired of it. It's basically a reality show. Like, it's a telenovela. You get tired of seeing the same person on top all the time.
Yes.
He wasn't prepared for this.
And he will. Cody will have his. I'm very excited to see what it is, but like, get rid of the whole. I will go from company to company, like.
Turn heel. Like, he
Honestly, it's about
Well, I think that if you do, I think if you turn Cody villain, you need to have someone to build up to face him. That's the problem with Cena. They turned the heel who was the one who actually slayed him. They didn't have anyone. He slayed himself. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna turn into a good guy again." The SmackDown Pro stuff. That was that was the face turn.
He's like, oh, you're right. I'm a bad guy. You know what? I'm gonna be a good guy.
Yeah, imagine that was the ending of. Imagine that was the ending of Avengers Endgame. He was about to snap, and they're like, "Oh, you know what, Captain America? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do all this. I'll just snap everything and go back to being a good guy again." That would be the ending. Imagine that was the ending of Avengers Endgame, or what have you. He does that. You'd be like, "What the heck? Get this out of here." You know, that's what it is. And yeah, there's no good. That's the problem.
But it's our fault because we keep buying it.
Yeah.
Regardless what your guys say, you're gonna put your WrestleMania tickets on Klarna, 4 payments and shit.
Oh no. They're not.
You know that story was bad. Cody versus John Cena going into it, but y'all all bought that ticket.
No, I didn't buy that ticket.
I went to 40. I was finna go to 41, and the tickets that me and my friend were gonna get for the pay for 40, we paid about $600-700 for pretty good seats. To go to 41, those same type of seats, looking at $1,000 for those same seats.
You don't want to look at the front row seats at WrestleMania this year. Let me say this. Last I checked, you could actually buy a brand new car, an actual big old car, just to get it. Oh heck, you can just get a nice little rent, a nice apartment for a year, if you could just go for WrestleMania, those tickets in front row. Because I went to WrestleMania 30 when Cody debuted in the company. I was there. I got some good seats, but for $200-300. Those same seats, if I went to, about $800-900. I'm like, no, I can afford it, but I'm not going to do it on principle alone. It is and it's frustrating.
Like right around the corner, the couple on the arena, Johnson's last match. Tickets when he said those things start $800,
A lot of pay-pits, that's why. And the people are, the messed up part is they priced out all the people out there that would have liked it and such. Who would have probably enjoyed the match instead of booed out the existence of booed, I know what have you. Because, I think the Gunther Cena match was actually pretty good, and I understood the story. But most of them are priced out and went to New Japan when they get their stuff here, or AEW, which the last time I went to an AEW show, I got some good seats, $50, $60, $70, and I got to a front row seat. I was doubling up in 2023, and I got them for $200 for one show. I was like, man, that was really nice. Vegas.
One thing about Vince
WrestleMania when it was in Seattle, man, those prices. I know inflation is real, but I saw that thing and it was like only what $300, maybe $500 for really good seats and like $1,000 like the first row seats or what have you. I'm like, man, you have to honestly, you have to work. You're probably gonna have to work like 5 jobs to get at least the two. Yeah, that green shirt, man. Yeah, I think he is. He must do something. I think he worked for the CIA or something.
Or you'd have actual magic shows with that. I would have paid $700 or $600 per seat to see a wrestling magician or a guy in a chicken suit come out of a giant egg and start running around going, yeah. Well, E.G. Open is wondering whether or not he's dropped acid.
Yeah, those are the days. Now you have.
And now it's like I'm paying $1,000 to see 2 dudes wrestle. I guess that's what I.
Oh, and by the way, you have in the Elimination Chamber. You had only 4 matches, and most of the matches were in. I mean, the only good one was Punk and Finn, and then before you had like the just a long break. They had long 34 minutes of nothing except Danhausen coming out, which he's doing better now, but I'm like, wow, that was. I honestly think if Danhausen wasn't released from AEW, I guarantee you that box, that thing would be a WWE 2K26 mode. They would have had, oh my gosh, it's something for WWE 2K26. See, don't buy the game now. It's an early release date. I truly think that would have been the case. But if Danhausen, I think it would have been much better than NXT. And I think he's good in small doses. And that's what I think that WWE, they think they're theatrical, but they don't think as, the little moments.
They're kind of taking a risk though, because like what we said before, we don't have those crazy out there corny characters like Danhausen. So I like the fact that he's, even if it is a push, I think it'll be a move in the right direction because we don't have weirdos wrestling like that.
I'm worried because he might be, I think he's going to go to NXT or Triple A. Oh, what about the people who were big? Where's Royce Keys, by the way? Royce Keys, he was in the Royal Rumble, and then he just gone. I know he did the podcast, the Stephanie Press, and that was it. And he's like, I think he's working out.
I heard he had a podcast on Raw.
SmackDown and Raw. Just have him just fight people and beat people up. If I was doing it, just have him beat people up. And maybe him and Over 50 have a match. Screw it. Do something with him. Yes. Do something.
I want to see a big black man slapping me. He's not doing that.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's have them. And I don't see that. And these, like I said, they don't let the people who are, and these it's not like I said, Monday Night Wars, you had them. Like, oh, these 3 guys showing up on the other company, get them in there on TV and have them do something. That was back in the day. Now it's just like, well, we're going to take our time. We're going to sit there and wait and wait and wait. And then by the time it's actually there, they're like, well, why isn't he popular? Well, it must be hard. Oh, just go and do dark match to a relation. Never taking accountability. Never taking the actual things that make people up. Because I was listening to a restaurant podcast about the invasion stuff. They're talking about King of the Ring, and they're talking about King of the Ring 2001. 2001. And they said, oh, Jeff Hardy versus Shalom, who was 29 at the time. Shalom was 29. Jeff Hardy, you know how old he was at that time? 24.
Yeah.
And they're fighting for light heavyweight title on pay-per-view. And I'm like, could you imagine that type of stuff today? Like, okay, we have a 29-year-old and a 24-year-old fighting for a championship. They'd be like, ooh, nah, you're gonna be an NXT. You're gonna be an NXT for a while. You know, we gotta put more season on you. I'm like, sometimes it's not that hard. I think that's another thing that issues with Paul Levesque's era, and another reason why the Pro Wrestling Boom is not here is that it's overcomplicated. They're overcomplicating these pushes. They're not letting these things out there. And I would say what the AEW is doing right with Kevin Knight is making him featured. He's not winning the titles and such. He won one and he lost it. I think there's something story there of him being a little bit overconfident, and then be like, okay, I'm going to make this, like, okay, I need to focus on myself and build himself up to be that type of, like, no humility and stuff. Or, he's gonna be pushed into that heel thing, and then you might have a nice match with Speedball, probably at maybe, if the latest is World's End, or maybe early enough at All In if they do break up. So that's a big push for him with Kevin Knight, if he, do all this type of stuff. So there's a story there. And that's the one thing I like is that you have young talent, you put them around, you put them in situations that actually pushes them and changes and such. Look at the rise of Bandito last year, matches and putting in promos, and that babyface fire against Jericho, and stuff against Kekesta in the Ring of Honor match, which was a shame that those who don't watch that match, Supercard of Honor. That was great. And to show how great Euro is. Samuel Hechicero, his match is there. His match, him and Brody King, Brodito. That babyface fire. When he was down and out, you have Brody says, never stop fighting, and then did a dive, and Brodito beat, I think, another like a tag team and stuff, and continue to win that match. And it goes on, that story continued when they fought FTR. It took multiple finishes, right? To put him down. Showed that he is continuing to win the Dynamite, came close to winning against the world title, and that's what you do. You give someone who is connection with that baby face, connection with that type of stuff, and you be consistent with that pushing. And I know, and I think the most frustrating thing with WWE, they can do that. They did with LNF, and they weren't consistent. They tried to do it with, Braun Breaker, then he turned heel, and it's just, he did wishy-washy. It's because, I remember something Michael Cole said about Braun Breaker, that he took pro wrestling, like he's like Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar. It's like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar won championships. They were involved in storylines. They were involved in everything around this. What has Braun Breaker been doing other than being like, being a heavy for division? He's been doing this, and then when he lost that time, it's like, well, I guess I have a lot to learn. That type of stuff, that sad, pathetic thing. And then what does he have to do, or what does he has accomplished since then? And even if he, look, I hope he comes back. I hope his hernia gets better and all this stuff and everything else. He's great when it comes to, it just does everything. And I think the best thing to do is just end division stuff now. Have him destroy Seth Rollins. When Braun comes back, maybe they can do something together. When Braun comes back, and then you have the other dude who was just recently had the torn tricep. Bronson Reed. Maybe they, because another dude who I thought he beat Roman Reigns, and what he was doing since then, nothing. And it's like, oh well, he's like, no, before he was hurt, what did he do? What was the consistent push?
Walk around with shoes. That was it. Right.
He walked around with shoes on. The tribal thief. And I'm like,
It's a great gimmick, but it didn't amount to
that's what I'm saying. Consistency. Where is the consistency of these promos? Where is the consistency?
And that opportunity with Trick and Javon, they have a big opportunity with both of them to push, to give them some of the biggest pushes ever. The way Trick is connecting with the crowd, his first night, everybody's saying, whoop that Trick. Like the way he, even with Javon, the way that they, the way he, the Iron Man and the Royal Rumble and his performance in Elimination Chamber, they have the opportunity for both of them to go, two black men, to be like legit, like stars. But they gotta keep that consistent push.
I just remember Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams. Javon Evans, Trick Williams getting pinned, and it took, you know what pinned Trick Williams? One crossroad. That was, and no, you know how many crossroads it took to beat Roman Reigns or AJ Styles? Yeah, just like hit once, and then after like 5 or 7, like 8 minutes later, or whatever. Logan Paul, who also eliminated Javon Evans, eliminated him as well. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, my fear with that is that that's it. They got a little taste of it. They got the taste, and they go right back to that lower card, lower mid card, and they're gonna be like, yeah, that's what they are, and I hate that. And you're gonna hear whoop that trick. The only time you hear it is on main event. And you're gonna hear like, you know, he's gonna do a special NXT appearance to win the NXT title, or go back to TNA. He ain't going back. I hate that because he should be. I'm like, Trick Williams is gonna probably be, if I was doing it, I would actually have him, face, for a Hayes that title, U.S. Championship.
He ain't got to be a title yet. That's the thing. You gotta keep him in the
Yeah, like I said, keep him in the conversation. It's not that hard to keep people in the conversation, but they make it hard.
Like the ruthless aggression and attitude era, you had so many like those top names. Half the time they weren't even fighting for a belt. They were like big, like you look like Rock Hogan, that won for a belt. Rock Stone Cold won for a belt. How many times did Triple H and The Rock was like, go ahead, and Triple H and Stone Cold, and none of that stuff was for a belt.
Oh, and a better point, most point of all, you had losing like John Cena lost both his matches in 02 and 03 and everything else, but losing rise. He lost, but his stock continued to rise.
And that's the thing. People, and it's a part of fans' fault. People put so much emphasis on winning and losing. If you go and look at Rock, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, look at their career wins and losses. Most of them have way more losses than wins. Like The Rock lost all the time.
Yeah, but it's the connection. And it's not just the connection, but it's also the one thing I think it is that the consistency of putting them in the storylines, putting them on the shows. I think people won't mind it if it was like, okay, they lost. I think Kevin Knight being the featured person who loses, I know people will be frustrated at that, but he's still being featured in the story. Feature them in the story and putting them around the story and making sure they are there. And that's what I think what Trick Williams should be. Trick and
He's a heel. He can take those pins right now.
Yeah, he is a villain.
They can take those pins and it doesn't hurt them as long as you keep them fresh in our minds.
But the one thing I think, if you ever heard of Brent Alvarez, I know he's frustrated. I think the one thing he was right at is that Javon Evans should have won the NXT title at least once. He should have won. I think if he would have won that NXT title, I think it would have been a good little, maybe a couple weeks, put him in that position to say, hey, I won a championship. It proves himself, and then you build him up. You say, hey, you won a championship in NXT. You can build him up to that next level, and have him not win a title now, but have him win in a couple of years or something.
So it makes you
there's a
hope that because they didn't put the title on in NXT, that they got big plans for when they made roster. Because I agree with you, I won't even have an NXT championship run, but since they pulled them early, it's like okay, and hopefully means y'all got big plans. Look at Bianca. Bianca never had an NXT. She didn't have it, but look what they did with it. So it's like, are we gonna see that same type of push for a Trick and a Javon? We didn't see it for Carmelo. We haven't seen it for Braun Breaker yet. Are we gonna see that for a Trick and
That should be, honestly, right now. Hopefully, Braun Breaker doesn't, when he gets better, but next year, Mania, wherever it's going to be at, that should be your big highlight. Braun Breaker. It should be Trick Williams. It should be Kamala Hayes. It should be Obi Fenton. All those people. Roman Steve, all
Those the names you just said, that's what the WrestleMania poster for next year needs. Actually, every single PLE for next year needs to be only those faces. They don't need to be. I need to see CM Punk, I need to see Roman. Those are the faces that needs to be on every single poster.
You know, I actually joked about this, and I know this probably gonna get a laugh from it, because honestly, you watch if you ever watch WCW, the old, like 2000s and such, there was a storyline called The Millionaire's Club vs. New Blood. And I honestly, as bad as it is, I'm gonna say this: when the WWE is just featuring this old talent now, the way they are, you can actually unironically do it right now. You could do that. You could have and actually, do the right thing and make the New Blood into babyfaces, not heels. But because of people. But then again, they might have no choice because nostalgia. The people were cheering them. They were cheering for Chris. People were like, oh, Chris Jericho, old, whatever. Now they all love him now. They're like, we want Chris Jericho. We want, CM Punk. We want Roman Reigns. We want Seth Rollins. We want Cody. We want Drew. We want this. We want that. The old guys.
You look at the old guys now versus the old guys then, and I'm not disagreeing with what I'm saying. The old guys now, their bodies are in much better condition than the old guys. The old guys back then, when they turned like 40, they were look at Hulk Hogan. He was looking 80 when he was like 25. So their bodies when they would do that back then, but the way that they take care of their bodies now, like the wrong way to see that, they still go sometimes. And that's like, so when you see, oh well, I can still put Punk in a match with, and Chris Jericho and Edge, and they can still go, well they're doing the fashion. And then another one to that too, Saudi Arabia, the big influence they have, because who do they want to know in their shows? They were asking for Undertaker and Goldberg and Hulk Hogan and stuff.
They wanted Yokozuna. They wanted Yokozuna and the Ultimate Warrior the first time.
It's like, why? What? What? That's expanding money. That's expanding deals nowadays. So that's who WWE has to build up. They got to build these old guys up because when they go overseas or Middle East, that's who they want.
That's what the guy who Vince Salon, I think, who's running it, Prince, who I think I was listening to one of those podcasts, Behind the Bastards actually is a really good podcast. Most of them. They were talking about like he grew up watching like one of the few things he watched was American wrestling, and I think was he had like old video game systems. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm like. Think about it. I'm like, this is what I would do if I was signed. Like, this is what I would book if I was running a country. And I'm like, no, I have all the money. They called it. You know what? What's Jericho doing these days? What's Ultimate Warrior? He's still around? Or, all the stuff, old guys. I'm surprised they haven't done this because, they might have AI Hogan next year, and he might actually, beat up all those guys, and he's gonna actually, I hate it, but this is probably what's gonna happen. AI Hulk Hogan, AI Macho Man, AI Yokozuna, they're gonna not just promos, they're gonna see if we can actually have a fight. We're gonna have an actual fight with these guys, and I can't wait to see them. Like, I can't wait to see Javon Evans try to sell Yokozuna heads when it's not real. He's really just he say he's bouncy. That's how the bouncy y'all when you're selling those. Yeah, it's gonna be how bouncy he's gonna be when he's gonna be bouncing with him by himself. Just I don't want that for him, but why do I see the future and I can see that happening. And I'm like, that's I don't want that to happen. But
it's good to have them as distractions. But for him to be the highlight, the main thing. I think about we were growing up watching wrestling. We knew about those old, like I knew Slaughter, Iron Sheik. I knew these people were because they would pop up every now and then, do something, and I don't see them no more. Or they were the legends in the video games. They weren't the main events. They weren't the people I saw all the time. So like we've gotten away from them for a multitude of reasons. But it's just that much different with how the legends were in the 90s and 2000s versus the legends in the 2020s.
Oh yeah, they were used sparingly, and that's unless, like I said, WCW 2000, where you had Terry Funk and his old crew, I think he was commissioner, and then I think Kevin Nash beat him for commissioner. Then Kevin Nash got like a head injury, he thought it was Commissioner Gordon. I'm not making any of this up, by the way. I remember Tony Khan watched all that. Just you know, whenever you see weird stuff happening in AEW, just remember he was a fan of 99, 2000, 2008 WCW. Just keep that in your mind. Oh gosh, and I only got 5 minutes left, but I'm gonna ask any other questions. What do you think is gonna be next year? Next year is going to be for the wrestling stuff. What is your prediction of next year? Of what you think will probably help the wrestling? More hope for people to get that opportunity. And honestly, the one thing I want to say, one last thing, is my hope is, before I get kicked out, because of the good lives right now. The one thing I want to say is that one thing I would love to see is more diverse people in that position in WWE, in AEW, New Japan. Because New Japan needs talent now. They need talent now. They all going to AEW. Just to actually, more people who get the opportunity to show up. You know what I'm saying? More people to get there, and more people who get the opportunity to show out. Maybe, just maybe, we'll actually get a glimpse of the action portion. Now, I think that'll be my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you. This is what I'll see y'all when I see you. Peace! Also, I have a podcast, the DC Lounge podcast. I have every Thursday night at YouTube, and just search the DC Lounge or DC live stream channel. That's what it is. Also, I do video game live streams as well. More sporadically, but old games, new games, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you all will watch that. Thank you.